The Three Little Pigs Revisited. Once there were three little pigs who lived in a country with a housing shortage. Vacant houses and apartments were very hard to find. The three little pigs decided to build their own home, but knowing how working together might be hard, they thought it safer for each to build his own ideal home. This way, each could be creative without the others telling him that his ideas were dumb. Unfortunately, in addition to a severe housing shortage, there were no more building materials. The three little pigs would have to use other materials. The first little pig towed his wagon around every day collecting old newspapers. After a week, he had enough to build himself a house. It wasn't the most sturdy of homes, but the first little pig liked it because he could sit at home in the evenings and read the walls. One thing he had to be careful about, though, was building fires. He became an expert outdoor chef. The second little pig collected aluminum cans. He built his home by stacking the cans together. His house was comfortable most of the time except during midday, when it would be as hot as an oven inside. The second little pig didn't mind. He loved the sound of raindrops falling on his tin roof. It made him feel luckier than his brother, whose newspaper house would collapse and have to be rebuilt every time it rained. The third little pig learned how to make adobe bricks. For months, he labored over making an adobe house. It was the dream house he had always wanted. It shielded him from the hot sun and kept him safe from wind and rain. When he was hungry, he nibbled on the straw sticking out of the wall, tidying his house as he ate. One day, a wolf, who had been chased out of his apartment because he hadn't paid the rent for 3 months, came upon the first little pig's newspaper house. Little pig, let me come in," he cried. "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," the first little pig answered. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." So he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew all the newspapers away, exposing the first little pig clutching the sports section to his chest. The first little pig took one look at the wolf and ran. He ran as fast as his 4 short legs could carry him to his brother's aluminum house, with the wolf hot on his curly tail. Just in time, he reached his brother's home, and they slammed in the last few aluminum cans, sealing themselves inside. Now that he had 2 little pigs instead of 1 to handle, the wolf cried, little pigs, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," replied the 2 pigs. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." So he huffed, and he puffed, and he scattered the aluminum cans all over the landscape. While the wolf stumbled over the cans, the 2 little pigs took off like 2 shots for their brother's adobe home. The third little pig was sunning himself outside his adobe home when who should come running along but his 2 silly brothers who had built paper and aluminum houses. "Oh, darn," he said to himself. "I knew they would have to move in with me one of these days, but couldn't they have waited a bit longer?" Then, to his surprise, they told him that the wolf was going to eat them all up unless he saved them. They ran inside the house, and the third little pig latched the door. Soon the wolf caught up and cried his familiar line, little pigs, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," the 3 little pigs said together. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." So the wolf huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed again, and again, and again. but he couldn't blow that sturdy adobe house down. The three little pigs stood by the window gleefully, watching the wolf puffing himself silly. But suddenly, as they watched in horror, the wolf collapsed, clutching his chest. "Oh, no," said the first little pig. "What's wrong with him?" "I think he's having a heart attack," said the second little pig. "We must save him," said the third little pig. "We can't let him die." The three little pigs opened the door and went out to help the wolf, while the first little pig counted. The second and third little pigs, performed CPR on the unconscious wolf. After a while, the wolf stirred and sat up. When the three little pigs saw that the wolf had recovered, they made for the safety of the house once more. But before they could slam the door shut, the wolf said, "Why are you afraid of me?" The three little pigs did a double take. "Pigs are supposed to be afraid of wolves," they said. "Don't you want to eat us up?" The wolf guffawed. "Pork chops? No thanks. I'm a vegetarian." "Oh, so why were you chasing us and blowing our houses down?" asked the first little pig. "I only wanted to move in with you," said the wolf, "and I wanted to find out if your house is solid enough for me. I see that this one is. If you wanted to move in with us, why didn't you just say so?" The second little pig threw up his front hooves in exasperation. "But I did. I asked you to let me in," said the wolf. "You didn't say please, and you shouldn't have asked so aggressively," the first little pig rebutted. "He's right, and you should have said exactly what you meant. You shouldn't beat around the bush like that," the second little pig scolded. All right, intervened the third little pig. "It's all a lack of communication. Let's start all over again, shall we?" He turned to the wolf. "Now say your line." The wolf cleared his throat and said solemnly, little pigs, may I move in with you?" He looked around at the three little pigs, and when they didn't reply, he added, "Please?" The three little pigs nodded. So the wolf and the first two little pigs helped the third little pig remodel the adobe house so that there was room for all of them. They learned the importance of cooperation and communication, and they all lived together happily ever after.